Hey everyone, today we're going to start talking about how to create studio quality normal maps. What we're going to do is we're going to take a high polygon model and we're going to project it onto a low polygon model. I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch. I'm going to actually create, I was thinking an upper chest and maybe do a scaled sort of plate top to it and maybe some creases as well to give you a basic understanding of how it all works. We're going to create a very simple model in 3ds Max, and then we're going to take it over to ZBrush, pump it up with some cool looking effects, then put it back into Autodesk 3ds Max and project the high poly onto the low poly. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up Autodesk 3ds Max. I'm going to show you the whole process from start to finish because there's some new tricks I want to show you if you're not familiar with them. So even if you're familiar with all these processes, just follow along and go ahead and create an upper chest on your character. Now I'm going to be using the UNP model. Technically I'm going to be using the UN Petite model, but I'm going to use the UNP size of it, which is the 100 size for that model. You can do this with CBBE 7 base. It doesn't matter what model type or body type you use for this process. It can be done with any body type. So I'm going to start by importing my female body. Go down here to custom body armors, grab my female body, import skeleton. Alright, I'm going to hide everything but the body, so I'm going to go ahead and hide the bones. I'm going to hide unselected, right click, hide unselected, and I'm going to start by creating a cylinder because I'm just going to have like just a broad type piece of armor. No, but before I do that, let's go ahead, right click on the body, convert it to an editable mesh, and select your vertices. And we want to weld all of these because we're going to be using some Polygon tools, and I don't want the vertices going through the body, so I'm going to weld everything. Just go ahead and weld all your vertices at a 0.1 so there's no gaps possible, and then deselect that. Now I'm going to create my cylinder and start here and just drag it out and drag it up, and I'm going to delete the top and the bottom. Before I do that though, let's check how simple of a mesh this is. Remember, we're creating a low poly mesh, somewhat low poly. I mean, I don't delete under the body, so I have to have a decent amount of polygons. I think 20 sides should be good, and I think starting off with 4 height segments will be fine for me. Now I'm going to right click on them and convert it to an editable poly, and I'm going to delete the top and the bottom from it. So I'm just going to select both of these and just go ahead and hit delete so I have a hollow cylinder here. I also want my pivot to be at XYZ 0, so I'm going to select move and I'm going to set it to 0, 0. And it should already be at 0 on the Z-plane. So let's select the vertices and let's drag it up. That way we don't move our pivot point. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and just scale it to proportion here. Now don't get too technical as you're doing this. I want you to go ahead and fit it just around the body, basically around the body. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, I think that should be high enough. Nice little tank top type looking deal. And I'm gonna scale it to kind of move it closer to the body. And that's all I'm gonna do is just do a basic shaping. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't go all perfect because we're gonna use some really cool tools to actually get it to conform to the body shape. Just want to kind of get it close to the body. That way, whenever we use the conform brush, it'll conform a lot nicer. Go ahead and scale the top here some, and I'm gonna kind of take this part around the breasts out a little bit. Oops. And drop this down some. Kind of just scale these around the breasts out. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I'll just select some in the front and just drag them out. These vertices here. Just go ahead and drag them out a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to, I don't want the arms to be an issue, so you might have to drag it down from the arms. Get a little bit more soft fall off here. And just kind of drag it down. Now because we're going to be using a conform brush, you don't want to be too close to the arms because they will create issues and you'll have to manually move the vertices. And again, we're just getting a basic shape, nothing too fancy here at this point. Oops. There we are. All right, this is a good shape here. Now this is one of the cool aspects that I wanted to show you, something that you can do with polygons. And in order to start this, in your graphite modeling tools, you have freeform tab selected. Go ahead and drop down this little arrow. And once you have the arrow drop down, we're going to select on this grid, and we're going to say draw on surface. And we're going to select pick, and we're going to pick our body. Now I want the offset to be from where the mesh conforms to the body about a 0.2. That's my lucky number for conform, is 0.2. I'm going to go ahead and select conform, and this is going to take it, it's going to basically push the vertices into the body. Before I do that, I want to select, basically this is kind of like symmetry, it mirrors what I do on one side to the other. I'm going to select that box, and then I'm going to select ignore back facing. And I'm going to set my conform to basically 1, which is kind of like saying 100% conform. And then just go ahead and drag over. Isn't that cool? It just kind of pushes the vertices over the body. You're probably sitting there thinking, Nightasy, why didn't you show me this like a year ago? Well, I do have an answer for that. I like to teach people to work with vertices before I get into these cool tools that make things really easy. So now you already have an understanding of how vertices and edges and polygons work. All right, so as you've seen, all I had to do is kind of just drag over. You go over the entire thing to make sure everything pushed in. And once everything pushed in, one thing I want to note is if you're doing the upper chest and one of these vertices on this side here underneath the armpit kind of came out and it was like over kill saw selection here, just to show you, it was over here or something, it kind of did that number. That's common. It just means that your vertices were too close to this arm and it didn't know, do I conform to the arm or do I conform to this torso? If that happens, just drag the vertice over to the body closer to where you want it to conform, and then you reuse the conform brush on it and it'll go where it needs to go. Now we want our edges. When I'm talking about edges, these white lines on this mesh, I kind of want them to have a good form to them. You know, it kind of goes boop boop right here by the breast. So I'm going to come over here and use another really cool tool called the Move Conform brush. Move Conform does exactly what it sounds like, does it? It moves vertices around. I'm going to hold the Control key to take my fall off down some. Control and the left mouse click, drag it down with your left mouse while holding Control. It'll take care of that for you. And I'm going to kind of shape this a little bit better. Now don't worry about shaping, just shape one side. We're going to go ahead and shape the right side because we're going to cut off half of the mesh and use symmetry so that both sides are identical. Let's go ahead and just start doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and get a better shape here to this and kind of make it look natural with the body is what we're going for. Kind of a natural, see it kind of curves around the breast here. And we are going to be adding more detail to this, more edges by using M-Smooth. I like how these lines kind of move with the body here. I think this, yeah, that's fine. This looks good. Nice, nice shape, nothing too fancy. Looks really good to me. All right, now, as you can see right now, there's parts of the body that are sticking through this mesh. We don't have enough edges on here because I'm going to leave the body in. I'm not going to delete parts of the body underneath because this kind of goes with my custom slot armors. So in order to get this to fit over the body, unfortunately, I do have to up the polygon count a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go down and I'm going to M-Smooth it underneath Edit Geometry. That'll give me some more vertices to work with. And again, I'm going to go over to Conform, and I'm just going to go ahead and brush over it again to get myself, you know, make it form to the body's shape. Now you can hold down Control, drag your mouse, and it'll give you a wider brush to work with. See how nice this is fitting the body. Oh, see what just happened? Sometimes the Conform, like my mouse skipped there for a second, sometimes the Conform does that. I don't know if that's a bug or maybe I'm holding down a hotkey and I'm not aware of it. If that ever happens, just keep an eye on this Conform, make sure it's always at 1, otherwise you'll be brushing for no reason at all. It won't do anything. All right. Now, even though we do have the mirror mode on, sometimes it doesn't hit the sides right. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but a lot of times you have to re-go over the sides. So just you know, if you do one side and then do the other side. But again, we're going to be deleting half of this and doing symmetry to make sure it's perfect on both sides. All right, I'm pretty happy with the polygon count currently. Let me see what it looks like if I unsmooth it one more time. What's my vertex count? I have 360 verts, which is still very low. I can unsmooth this again. 1360. All right, for a single piece of armor, that is more than enough. I really don't want to go any higher than that. So now I'm going to go ahead and conform it once more. You notice I started conforming at a very low poly. Then as I got it more into shape, I added, you know, more vertices, more to work with, and then that's basically how you want to do it. Start very low and then up your count as you get it shaped the way you want it. So this is really good right here. I think I have plenty of polygons. Definitely do not want to go higher than this for a single piece of armor, because this is going to be its own NIF file, so it'll be fine at 1360. And that's actually pretty common, somewhere below 5,000. You see that a lot in single garment equipable meshes is 5,000 and below, and Skyrim handles it just fine without a hiccup. All right, so now I'm going to have to move this on its own just to get, because the nipples are still poking through a little bit, so I'm going to probably use a soft selection here. Drag this down around the breasts a bit, and I'm going to drag it out a little bit extra, but if you see it's kind of pointy there, and I don't want it that pointy, so maybe a little more. To get rid of that point, I'm just going to come down and I'm going to relax it. That's an under edit geometry. I'm going to click this like twice. That gives me a more rounded edge, and now it's not so pointy. I really hate jagged edges on my armor pieces. So this looks really good. Looks like something I can really work with. So now what am I going to do with this? Let's think about it for a minute. I would probably have a top and a bottom rim. So I think that these edges here are probably too high because they don't really match up in height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the edge tool. I'm going to select edges. I'm going to click on one edge, deselect soft selection. I'm going to hold down my shift key and select the edge directly horizontal of it to the right. And you'll notice holding down shift and selecting another one selected them all the way around, which is a really convenient trick. And if I look at top, look at the distance there, I kind of want to maybe match that up. So I'll just go ahead and drag this down just a little bit. And that looks about even with the top. And I'll kind of do the same with this, just try to get a smoother distance between the two, like that. And maybe, oops, hold on, here, select one, hold on shift, get them all, and then drag this down just a hair. And that kind of looks pretty smooth of a transition. Your topology is how your edges and it's basically the shape of your polygons and how they are placed on the mesh. A poor topology can make it hard to skin wrap it. It just makes it hard to work with. So you really want to pay close attention to your topology. Again, that's the shape where these edges are located, a natural topology. See how they kind of curve around? That makes for better skinning to the skeleton. So since I moved some edges there, I want to go ahead and reconform that a little bit at the base, just for the sake of making sure it's conformed really well. And again, this came out really well, but like, let's say when you were shaping it, one side didn't exactly match the other side and you wanted to fix that. What you could do is select your edges or your polygons, come in here into I'm actually going to swap this around to the back, because technically that's the front of the body. And I'm going to select everything, hold down Alt, press W, and select everything on that would be the left-hand side. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to hit Alt and W again, scroll around this, make sure everything came out all right. And we're going to apply a modifier here, so deselect your polygons, drop down your modifier list, and we're going to select symmetry. And this is going to make the right-hand side identical to the left-hand side. It'll be symmetrical. And you may have to select flip if you don't see anything. And there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and right-click, convert it to an editable poly.